Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel if you're new around here. My name is Hannah Hawthorne and I am Simply Witched, and today I am doing a witchcraft Q&A. This is not a regular witchcraft Q&A. Today I'm going to be answering all of the witchcraft questions that you are too afraid to ask. At the beginning of my practice, I often felt a little shame in asking questions, especially those that I thought were insensitive or might be stupid. And I say stupid because there are no stupid questions. We all have to start somewhere, and I want to cultivate a space that we all feel comfortable to ask questions and learn and grow. I do have a guest with me today. As you can see, she's taking a little bit of a cat nap. This is Sunday. She is my only pet and she means the absolute world to me. Usually she's kind of independent. She hangs out at her little, I almost called this a tree house, but it's not a tree house. It's like a cat tower. That's normally where she hangs out, but she fell asleep here and she seems to be tired enough that she will actually put up with me talking and petting her, so she must be real sleepy. But I'm just gonna leave her here and we are just gonna get into it. I also did get some tea. This is the general vibe that I have in mind for today's video. Tea, sleeping cat, very cozy vibes. I just figured that we could all use a little bit of a safe space, and that is why I decided to do this video this week. I am getting all of these questions off of Instagram. 7 weeks ago, I posted what are the witchcraft questions you are too afraid to ask, and it has taken me 7 weeks to make this video. That is sick. I am so sorry that it has taken me so long to film this YouTube video, but I promise if I say I'm gonna film something, I will. It might just take 7 weeks. Can I help you? Let me stop rambling. We will get straight into it. When you work with an entity, ghost, or ancestor, what are you actually seeing? This is such a great question and a topic that is a little bit hot to handle. No, this is a delicate question, and when I answer this, I do not mean to disrespect anyone or undermine their experiences. But this is a subject that I touched a lot on in my video, We Need to Talk About Witch Talk, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because I think the way that we have seen deity, spirit, ancestor communication become very sensationalized online, and it has left people with a lot of questions. For the most part, when I say I'm working with a spirit or I had an encounter with a spirit, I'm not physically seeing anything. More often, I am seeing synchronicities or signs. A good example of this would be one of the ancestors that is most prevalent in my life is my grandfather who passed away. I have certain songs that I associate with him, and when I hear them, I know that he is present. The amount of times that I have ever actually physically seen something is far, far less, and I don't mean to speak for everyone when I say this, but I think that the idea that beginner practitioners have because of social media, that is going to happen all the time, is a really unrealistic expectation. What do you do with offerings and spells and spell jars once you've finished with them? Spell disposal is a great question, and this is actually something that I cover in my book, so there is a little section about that, and I think that will be really helpful because I get asked this a lot. In short, depending on what your spell is about is going to decide how you are going to dispose of it. For example, if your spell is to bring money into your life, maybe you want to dispose of this by burying it in your yard. If it is something that you can place in the earth that will not harm the earth, the local flora and fauna. If you're doing a banishing and you're trying to remove something from your person or your space, you do not want to bury the remains of that spell on your property. You want to dispose of that far away, which is what the spell is. It is a banishment. So why would you want to keep that on you? If you can't bury anything outside, don't worry, I can't either. If I started burying something outside of my apartment building, my landlord would definitely have some questions. You can just mindfully dispose of it, but do that with a little bit more respect and intention. I think the intention behind that is the most important thing. This is in my book as well, but if you're going to do that, maybe you should say something like, even though I discard this offering, the physical offering, the spiritual offering remains. How do I practice my intuition? I know I need to have trust in it coming to me, but how can I actually exercise it? Exercise is such a great word because the way I would describe intuition is like like spiritual muscle. It's kind of like when you go to the gym because you have fitness goals in mind. If you want to be able to lift more weight, you are going to target the parts of your body that'll help you do that, like your biceps or your legs or whatever it is in your case. Intuition is just like that. A really simple exercise that I do in my life is I say things out loud when I think that they are going to happen. Do you ever get the feeling that the phone is going to ring maybe like 30 seconds before the phone rings? Or do you ever feel like you know what song is going to come on the radio next, like right before it plays? Like maybe you'll get like a couple of the bars in the song and it'll be like in your head and then it'll play. Those weird instances that you have, that is your intuition peeking through. So if you feel like you know what song is going to come on the radio, say it. If you feel like you know that the phone is going to ring, say it. If you feel like you know who is going to call, say it, write it down. Or if you just have a feeling that someone is going to get in contact with you, start journaling that. If you have a feeling that something is going to happen in your life or your pet is going to do something, start writing that stuff down. I'm bothering her. That's my job as a pet mom, to bother Kitty. What defines being a Wiccan? I'm pretty sure I follow paganism, but the book I'm reading about Wicca seems like I have to do certain things to be Wiccan. The conversation of Wicca is very complicated because it is a decentralized religion, meaning there is not one central governing body and there is not one holy sacred text. In the same way that the Catholic Church has the Pope and the Bible, Wicca doesn't have that. And as time has passed, a lot of people have moved farther away from traditional Gardnerian Wicca, which is an initiatory form of Wicca. It is the classic Wicca. But over time, people left it and they began to talk about it and kind of divulge a little bit of the secrets of Wicca. A very predominant author that comes up when you talk about this is Scott Cunningham. Scott was an initiatory Wicca, but then he left and he wrote books that kind of welcomed people into Wicca and created a living room sort of Wicca, a type of Wicca that you could do in your living room. And now this leaves people a little confused because in our modern witchcraft space, most people's practices are influenced by Wicca, whether they know it or not. And so that can be very confusing, and it's still something that is hard for me to grapple with. And I did actually have a plan to make a video about Wicca and my relationship with it with my friend Ella Harrison. She and I have now decided that we're both going to make separate videos, and then we will just link each other's videos in our own respective videos because we wanted to do it over Zoom, but we couldn't. The quality was really, really bad, and we didn't want to do that. So we just decided that we would make our own videos as sort of an honest conversation about Wicca, but that will be coming. It is just a subject that it's hard for me to open up about because it is so personal to me. But I understand the confusion of, am I Wiccan, am I not Wiccan? But acknowledging that your practice is heavily influenced by Wicca and deciding what that means for you now. So that video is coming, but if you want some direction on what exactly it means to be Wiccan, I recommend looking at traditional Gardnerian Wicca and see what historic influences are part of your practice, and then deciphering if that is something that you want to continue using in your practice. How can I really feel my magic? How do I know how strong it is, and how do I know I am not just imagining it? I have imposter syndrome about magic all the time. This is the doubt that it's real. And I think that no matter what faith you belong to, you are going to question it, and if you are not questioning it, you are not doing a good job in furthering your spiritual development. In my life, I feel like I have experienced real magic. Magic has proved itself to me time and time again, and there are so many instances that I cannot explain without magic. However, sometimes I introspect on that and I wonder if my beliefs are fake, and even if they are, I'm okay with that. Even if magic isn't real and this is all just a placebo, it doesn't undo the help that it has given me and the positivity it has brought into my life and the lives of so many people that I know. Believing in magic has ultimately really improved the quality of my life, and it has made me grow in ways that I don't know that I would have been able to do without it. As for the strength of your magic, which I believe comes from the belief in yourself ultimately, because it is your will to bring things into fruition. If you don't really think that you can make change within your life, I don't think it's gonna happen. Say you want to manifest something into your life, or you want to banish something from your life, and you are using magic or strength or willpower, whatever that may be. If you wake up every day and tell yourself that that is not going to happen, you're not even giving yourself a chance. So I would say if you are questioning your magic, which is ultimately yourself, I hate to be like, just stop, because I know that that is not as simple as it actually, because I know it is not that easy and you are going to have to fight with that imposter syndrome. But I think that you will do yourself a lot more favors if you get up every morning and say, I can do this, this is possible, rather than the alternative. When people put food as an offering on their altars, do you just let it sit there and remove it right before it becomes bad, or do you eat it yourself? And I kind of like the thought to prepare some special treats for my ancestors, but I really have a problem with letting food go bad. I completely agree with you, and I try my best to never waste food. Usually what I will do is I will put something on my altar for 20 minutes maybe, and I will let it sit there. And I like to make my offerings a lot more involved. If I am making an offering to my ancestors, a great example of this is I make tater tot hot dish for my grandparents who have passed away, because it was a food that is very near and dear to my family. I'm from Minnesota, and tater tot hot dish is like a staple. I will put a picture of what it looks like in. It's delicious. Normally around Samhain, I will make this, and I usually sit it on my altar while it cools. I will put down a heat mat, and it smells great, and it's like hot food, and it's just, it is the feeling that I got as a kid when they would make it, so I try to recreate that for them. So I will set it on my altar while it is cooling. I will talk to them. I will maybe tell a story about how much I miss them or something that we did while they were alive. And then I will dish it up and I will eat it, my serving, while it sits on the altar, and then I will put it in the fridge. I'm not actually leaving a plate of food there and throwing it away. Is the evil eye a good thing or a bad thing? I hear you can be cursed with an evil eye, but also protected by it. Which is it? A lot of people think that this is the evil eye. This is not the evil eye. This has multiple different names depending on which culture and tradition you are from. The evil eye is what this symbol is protecting you from. But a lot of times people call this symbol the evil eye, and then it makes this conversation very confusing. I had two of you ask how you get herbs to stick to candles when you are dressing them, and there's a couple ways to do this. Depending on what kind of candle you are using, you can just take the herbs, lay them out maybe on some tin foil, and then roll the candle in some oil and then roll it in some herbs. But if that doesn't stick and you want something a little stickier, you can add sugar, you can add honey. Both of these things are going to be great. While sugar is going to be great at sweetening the working up, and honey is going to be great for sticking things to you or attracting. So do a little bit of oil, maybe do a little bit of honey, and then roll the herbs. If that's not working and you need an extra layer, you can roll the herbs, and then you can take melted wax from a small candle and drip it onto the big candle. So you got candle here, drip the smaller candle, and then just roll it so the wax that's dripping seals the herbs into the main candle. I keep finding bones. How do I use them in my practice? Ooh, this would also give me an opportunity to show you guys a new item I just got for my collection. It is a mink skull, and I haven't shown it yet on social media. This is actually only the second bone piece that I have, and I'll tell you the story about them. Hold on. Let me start with the very first bone that I ever got. It is this deer antler. And I found this at a boutique in the middle of Alabama. The reason that I got this is because this antler had such bad energy attached to it, it absolutely broke my heart. This antler was sawed off. It was not actually dropped by the deer. And usually practitioners don't want to have things like this. They want to have things that are sustainably sourced, which is what my mink skull is, and I will show you that in a second. But the reason that I got this is I gravitated towards it because I wanted to give it a better home. This thing is painted gold. I didn't do this. They did, and this was just going to be some person's decoration. And I drove off, and then I came back and I got it. I consecrated it into my practice many years ago when it first came into my possession, and since then the energy that this gives off is completely different. I really feel like the animal who had this antler while he was alive is very thankful that his life has lived on. This antler is always a centerpiece on my altar, and it means a lot to me. The next thing that I got is this mink skull. Now, I have never purchased a skull before, and I actually got this from a friend. Her name is Rachel, and she is not a practitioner, but she is one of my absolute best friends in the entire world. And she was at a farmer's market, and she saw this, and she called me and said, "I just found something for you." She said, "I don't know what it is, but I have a gut feeling," which is her intuition, that says, "I have to buy you this. It has to be in your life." And so she bought it for me not too long ago. I've only had this about 2 weeks. I have not done much with it in my practice yet. It's sort of just sitting on my altar, kind of like if you got a new pet, you would want them to get acquainted with the place before you did anything that was too overwhelming. The reason that people have bones is for all different kinds of reasons. Sometimes you want to connect with the spirit of that said animal, or you just want to connect to the other side in general, because bone connects us to death and those who have passed on. I'm the first witch in my family, and I'm learning a lot on my own, but sometimes I feel so lost or like an imposter. Any advice? I kind of touched on this one at the beginning, especially when I mentioned imposter syndrome. This is a feeling that so many people resonate with, and this comment has a lot of likes, so I can see by that a lot of people in my community feel this way. There is nothing wrong with feeling this way, and if that is something that is constantly coming up in your life, I would get to the root of that. Why do you feel like an imposter? Imposter syndrome is the symptom. It is not the core reason that you're feeling that way. And I know for me what those are. I feel a lot of imposter syndrome being a creator. I feel like because I am sharing my practice, I need to know exactly what to say at all times, and sometimes I need to remind myself to give myself more grace. Before I started sharing my practice online, I often didn't feel valid in my practice, especially when the only people that I was interacting with were people who did not believe the same things I did, and especially those that had different religious backgrounds, say Christians. When you tell someone that you practice witchcraft and they don't even know what you're talking about because all they have seen of that representation is what they've seen in the media or what their religion has led them to believe about your faith, sometimes you feel kind of like a joke. Telling someone that you practice witchcraft in person is really difficult because you don't know what prior knowledge they have. I've been laughed at. I've been like, is this a joke? Like, are you serious? Because they have no idea what that reality actually looks like. And so I would second guess the validity of myself and my practice. Posting my practice online led me to meet a lot of witches online, which never made me feel like that. When I started to have a community that believed, you know, similarly to how I did and would support my beliefs, that part went away. So maybe community will help you. If you are feeling like an imposter in your real life, with the people that you see day to day, maybe try to seek support from people who are not them. And along with that, of course, you should do some work internally to make sure that you feel valid in yourself without having to rely on the opinions of other people. Support is nice, but ultimately you should feel confident in who you are by yourself. Do you have to work with deities? Absolutely not. You don't have to work with deities. You don't even have to believe in deities. I'm a pantheist, so I believe in deities as personifications of nature rather than conscious beings. I see them as archetypes, as vehicles for deeper understandings and ways that I can get closer to certain aspects of nature or the divine. But any way that you perceive deity is fine. Do you have to practice every day all the time, or can it just be something that's a part of you but not practice every day? I practice witchcraft every single day, but it is probably not in the way that you think. If you're imagining that I'm doing big elaborate rituals every morning, afternoon, and night, no. I don't practice witchcraft every day, but I take the things that I'm already doing and I make them magical. I make them part of my spiritual practice. And that is what I encourage all of you to do. So look at what you do, the things that you have to do to get by, and see how you can incorporate those into your practice. Whether that is blessing your morning coffee or dedicating an action that you do, say you work out or you take a nap for self-love or a bubble bath, dedicate that to a deity that you work with. Make a meal in honor of your ancestors or play some music that they would enjoy. Witchcraft is an integral part of who I am. Magic lives within me. It is not this separate thing that I bring into my life from time to time. It reframes the way that I think and the way that I guide myself through the world. And I think that if you can make that switch, it might feel a lot more accessible and approachable to you as well. I think that is all the time that I have for questions today. I have been filming for quite some time and I'm really surprised that this one is still asleep. It's about time for me to make some dinner, which I'm gonna make with some magical correspondences to embody the energy I want to create in the rest of the day. It's just that easy. And I think I'm gonna wake up my cat because if she sleeps all day, she screams all night. Lovely, huh? If you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. I would love to do more of these, so if you have any more questions that you are afraid to ask, please leave them down below and I might do a part 2 or a part 3, part 4, however many parts I need to do so you guys do not feel ashamed to ask anything. Because when you know better, you do better, so we will work at that together. To keep up with me between uploads, all of my other platforms will be listed below down in the description, as well as my Discord if you would like to join my online community. There's also a link to pre-order my book, which comes out in about 2 weeks from today. And if you have already pre-ordered my book, there was a pre-order bonus sent out, and if you haven't received yours, you can fill out the link down below in the description. I will list everything with instructions. That is all I have for you today. Wait, actually, hold on. That is all we have for you today. So until next time, have a magical rest of your day. Blessed be and goodbye, everyone. She said, Mom, why'd you have to wake me up from my nap? I had plans to scream at you later. I needed to rest up.